Okay, so here we are on the 10th of we have to do the ninth, which we didn't do yesterday. We were fasting. So the 10th of. Okay, originally the Epistle Ketanti, this is the second chapter in Igeres HaKodesh, Ketanti Mekol HaChasodim, ended with the words restrained spirit. Now, to follow this, really, you have to be looking inside. It ended with the words Meshiv Chema and Veruach Nicha. That if a person is humble, we're speaking about humility, and ending with a restrained spirit, humility. And that's where it ended. I'm looking over here also to see if I'm quoting the right thing. Veruach Nicha, yeah. So it ended like that. Now, later, as the Alter Rebbe, which he calls here the great rabbi, that's what it says in Hebrew Yiddish, delivered the mimer. And when he delivered the mimer, as water reflects the face, Mayim el panim, right, 3 times in Liozna, following the interpretation of Rashi and not of Targum. Now you have this, if you have this edition, and maybe even in Payenu also, you have the footnotes. The Targum, let's say first, the Targum said that as the waters of one man reflect the face of a man, the waters reflect the face of a man. So the Targum says, waters differ as men's hearts. The way you look at something, your heart's different from my heart. Now, Rashi, and this is the way Hasidus also always explains it, according to Rashi, the face that you show to the water is the face that you get back. Your attitude toward others will generate a corresponding attitude toward you. And of course, the attitude we're looking for is ahavas chinam, the whole what if the temple was destroyed for the negative, it will be destroyed for it will be rebuilt for the positive ahavas chinam. And that's what Ahavas Yisrael is the cure for the Gullus and the cause, the proximate cause of the descending of the third temple. So that's what he said. So he goes generally according to the Shita of Rashi, not the Targum. After that, he, the Alter Rebbe, made an addition to the epistle. And again, if you're looking at the end, that's where Epistle Beis ended. But if you're looking at Epistle Beis, it says, again, it's one more sentence. And perhaps, if you show humility and love to others, perhaps, and it just might happen, Yitin Hashem belev achechem, Hashem will give, as you are showing to others, that face will be reflected back for you, Kemayim hapanim upanim, as he adds at the end of that pisgam, at the end of Perek Beis. Now, another reference back to Perek Beis, if you're looking in the Tanya, this is on page 206, when he speaks about humility, that's what this Maimer Beis, we learned, is all about humility. And he uses the expression, Kimidoso shel Yaakov, like the attribute of Yaakov. Yaakov, remember, is Yud Akev. The Yud is the highest levels, the Yaakov is the foot, is the heel, and he brings down the highest into the lowest through his expression of humility and openness. So he says, the Frierdiker Rebbe says, had the Rebbe not inserted these 3 words, the Midas Emet Yaakov, according to the attribute of truth of Yaakov, in other words, demanding or expressing not only truth, but the truth of Yaakov, which is Emes Lamite, truth of truth, had he not added that, he would have attracted 50,000 more Hasidim. In other words, it would have been a little easier had they not seen this, I have to behave be'emes shel Yaakov. But the Rebbe demands the trait of emes from beginning to end, right? We probably learned this first day we learned anything. Emes, Aleph, Mem, Tov. The first word is the Aleph, the last word is the Tov, and the Mem is the middle. It's all the way through truth. No adulteration, no little chinks in the armor, so to speak. We learned about the armor a couple of days ago. Straight truth. Had he not said that, a lot of people said, "Oh, that's too much for me." Had he not said that, he would have had many more Hasidim. Okay, that's Hayom Yom. We, as I said, are beginning Tanya. Where are we beginning Tanya? We're beginning Tanya over here on page Kuf Hey for the 9th, which was yesterday. Chapter Dalet. Okay, so in the beginning of Ageres HaKodesh, the Alter Rebbe spoke about Torah. Torah, if you remember, was the thighs on which all of Amunah stands, learning Torah. And then, more recently, he spoke about tzedakah. And here he's going to speak about prayer. And as we segue into Yom Yud, which is today, we'll also speak about Milah. Again, Mazel Tov to Risheva and Akiba on the birth of their new grandson. Ein Yisrael negolen ela b'tzedakah. That's what the pasuk says. The Jewish people are redeemed only through tzedakah. Shenema, it says, "V'sheveha b'tzedakah." Your captives are redeemed through tzedakah. Captive, of course, and redemption. We were captive in the Galus, and the Geula comes only through tzedakah. To see, have a pasuk that says, "Tzedek lefonik yahaloch." That tzedek in front of him, yahalech. Yahalech is a causative. Tzedakah will cause something to go. He said the plain meaning, if you want to say it simply, that would tzedek lefonik, that tzedakah goes in front of you. What is it causing to go? It's it should have said to go. Righteousness is a motivator. It's a force, and it makes you go. What's it mean? Causes something to go. Achayinin is this. Alpi Mashikosav, the pasuk says, "Acha Oma Libi." This is a pasuk in Tilim. To you, says my heart. Bakesh Ponai, seek my face. Pirish, what's it mean? Bikshu, my face. My face, we've said this many times. Ponim, face, is also taken to understand panemius. It's like when you look at someone's face, no matter what they're saying, the face often gives away what's going on in the heart. So Bikshu Ponim, God says, seek my face. And seek panemius halev. Seek the panemius of your heart. Kihine b'halev, because in the heart, which is Yesoid ha'esh, right? That's where the fire, the blood, the warm blood comes to give life to the whole body. In the Yesoid ha'esh, the fundament of in the heart, which is the fundament of fire of the nefesh elokis, the nefesh elokis of the heart. Hine b'halev, it says in the head, Yesoid ha'esh elokis shebalev. It just says it parenthetically in a little bit different order. So in that heart, Yesh beis bechinas. There are two levels of the heart. Bechinas chitzonius, the externality of the heart, ubechinas panemius, the internality of the heart. This is the rotzon halev, the internality, the chitzonius of the heart. And what is the chitzonius of the heart? He is lavis hamislaheves bemechinas habina behadas. This is the aspect of heartfulness that's aroused from bina, as the Zohar says. Bina liba. Bina is the heart. Ubohalev mevin, and it brings the heart to understand. So this is the level of the heart which is connected with Bina. Bina vedas begedulas Hashem. Understanding and awareness is kashrus to the greatness of Hashem, who is the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. There's boinin, to contemplate, begedulasoi, in God's greatness, and to bring forth from this understanding a strong fire, a fire like a strong love like flaming fire. Pretty good. However, there's a deeper level. Panemius of the heart is the point in the depths of the heart, the umka deliba, in the depths of the heart, which is much deeper than and surpasses the love that's triggered by knowledge, by das and its blindness. It's deeper than the love from das v'tavuna and the understanding of the heart. Which a person is able to contemplate in his heart. Excuse me. Kosov is a pasuk. It says, Ma'amikim, also from Tillim, Ma'amikim korisa yudke. From my depths, I call out to you. So we have the superficial, relatively superficial level of the heart and the depths of the heart. Father Marshall Kamo, similarly, B'mila da Alma, when it comes to ordinary things, worldly things, sometimes there's something which is so great, so important, that the whole life depends on it. Could be saving a life. You see something and you save a life, or you know that your life depends on doing this. This is going to bring out something extremely deep. When it's something that touches the innermost point of your heart, and includes it. It brings the innermost point of your heart to life, to bear, to liveliness, to operation. And sometimes it can bring you to do things and to speak things that are beyond your mind whatsoever. I'm crazy. I'm out of my mind. I just have to do this. Doesn't matter. Don't tell me no. It just has to be done. I'm desperate. Life is at stake. And opposite this, meaning this is a world of ordinariness, an ordinary thing in life. I've used the example of, seeing someone fall into a child run into the street, and you run. You don't think, you just run and grab. So that's ordinary life. Similarly, there's this kind of level in the service of God in Kedusha as well. The avodah shebalev, the penimius alev. It's because that level which we call the point of penimius, the innermost dimension of the heart, it's deeper than das. It's much higher than das, which comes as a branch off from Chochmah and Bina. This is known. Where does it come from? It comes from the supernal level, meaning the innermost levels of Chochmah. Remember, Chochmah me'ayin to matzeh, right? Chochmah comes from the ayin. So this is the level of ayin, which is much deeper than das. We're getting a little back drift here, so let me back and mute. Hold on. Yeah, muting you all. Okay. So this comes from the level of Chochmah Elah, the supernal level of Chochmah, meaning the innermost, highest levels of Chochmah, Penimis HaChochmah, which has a connection with the ayin. Can't be explained. Just L'mayla Matam V'das. I'm just doing it. As he says, Shemayla M'habin V'hadas, which is much higher than understanding in das. And in that is Malubish, the ganuz and hidden, or Hashem Mamish, because of Hashem, the Chochmah, that Hashem resides in Chochmah. And here we're talking about the Penimius of Hashem, the Ormachit particularly. And that is the spark of godliness, Shebekol Nefesh Yisrael. In addition to the Midah, the superficial, but of course very valuable Midah, something that happens and you feel compassion for somebody and love for somebody. And this is deeper. This is kind of a desperation. It's an unthinkable and almost knee-jerk response to something that comes from something much deeper. So this is the deepest level of the spark of God, which is in each and every person, each and every Jew. That's what Tanya was for Tisha B'Av. Are we going further? And that which not every person merits this level. I mean, circumstance may bring it out. As I use the example in the plane, not of Kedusha, but just of ordinary life. Some event may just bring out that it has to be this way, and you will react this way. But not every person can zoichet to this when it comes to avodah shebalev, when it comes to avodah shebalev. And what's avodah shebalev? This is tefillah. And tefillah, davening, is the place where this panima shebalev is meant to come out. Avodah shebalev, me'umka delida. It's meant to come out, and tefillah is designed to help you bring it out. Bring out what? The depth of your heart. Me'umka deliba, bebechinas panimius, in the most deep way. Hainu because shebechina zu, this level, which we're calling panimia shebalev, right? Usa daliba, the will of the heart, the deep of the heart, which is lamayla b'tam b'das, higher than reason and understanding. Yetzle b'bechinas galus. It needs to be brought out because it's normally, the norm is it's in a state of galus, meaning it's covered over, ushivecha, and it's captive. The hi bechinas galus hashechina mamish, and this is the actual. This is mamish, what we call galus hashechina, when the panemius of the heart is still covered over, so-called captive. And what is this shechina that we have within us, and which we've spoken about? Shechina begaluta, the shechina in galus. This is the nitzut elokus. It's the level of nitzut elokus, the actual point of godliness, shebenefesh elokis, in the godly soul. In other words, the godly soul can bring you to doing many good things, but the panemius of it is the shechina, the divine presence itself, which is in a state of galus until, of course, the heart is opened up and it's revealed. The sibus of galus. Now, what's the cause of it being in galus? The panemius alev sheba galus. He Maimon Rizal, our sages have said, and this is going to be a metaphor. Gala Bavel, when we were exiled to Babylon, Bavel Lashon, Bilbo, and confusion, we're confused, right? We're living in an ideological space where there's full of confusion. And of course, this totally describes our external world today. So when we were exiled to Bavel, the Chazal tell us in the Gemara Megillah, Gola leVavel Shechina imohim. When we went into Bavel, the divine presence went with us. Because Shehila Bechinas Penimis Nakudas Alev. Remember, the Shechina is the Penimis Alev, because the Penimis of the heart was enclosed, the Penimis and the Kudas Levavai, the Penimis and the most internal touch point and deepest point of the heart was mislabish and clothed bezela umazeh, in the klippas, in the orbit. That's where our drive was displaced and hooked onto the klippa instead of the depth of kedusha. The hainu belavushim soyim, which we call these klippas and these garments. Remember, garments of the soul, our thought, speech, and action are in a state of galus. They're hooked on to the superficial level of things. Superficial is a neutral word. It can be even worse, God forbid. Bilavushim soim, the dirty garments, the mila de alma, of the affairs of this world. Not the affairs of the world itself. The things in this world, we say this over and over again, just worthy repeating, are made for mitzvahs. But when we're into them for themselves, and we're into the superficiality of them, so they are then in the clutches of, and we are dressing ourselves in that negativity of milida alma, of worldly things, the taivas olam hazeh, and the desires of this world. Hanikra b'shem bavel, which we call bavel. Remember, bavel is lashon babel, confusion. That's the word, bavel. Behi bechinas orla, and this is, now we move to another metaphor, which is very appropriate for this day, since we're all celebrating the bris of the new grandchild to Elisheva and Akiva. So this is analogous to the orla, the foreskin. A mechasa ala bris, which covers over the bris. The nekuda penimis of Shebalev, and it covers over the point of the heart. And this, our sages have said, it says in Devorim, actually, it's a pasuk, Al zeh nemar, umelashtam es orlas levavichem, and you will circumcise the foreskin of your heart. Vehina, this we're talking about, the panemius of the heart, has two layers. It has the external layer and the deeper layer. And I said we talked about earlier, Bina is the heart. That's the level of heartfulness that comes from meditation. That's the external layer. And then there's the Panemius layer. In Mila, you have the same corresponding two levels. There are two categories in Mila. Priya, Mila upriya. There's the Mila, and then what's called the Priya. Shehen Ola Gasa, the Mila is the thick skin, the Klipadaka, and the Priya is the thin skin. Similarly, when it comes to the circumcision of the heart, there are some very obvious kinds of taivas that a person has, and then there are more the refined taivas that you may not even realize are taivas on the side of the klippa. So there are taivas gasius v'dakas. There are thick klippa, thick attractions and thin attractions, mila and priya. And they both have to be excised, cut away. And the din is, if someone just has the exterior level of the foreskin cut away and not the priya, so that is not called mila. Mol v'le pora ke'ilu like mol. Someone just has the first level, it's as if they're not actually circumcised. So back to our mushal. Peeling away the obvious things, it's great, right? But back to our yom-yom, the Alter Rebbe wants midas sheba Yaakov, emes sheba mitai, that even the more refined and the things that you may not recognize even as taivas of la'umazeh, you have to look further and get those cleared away as well. So mol v'le pora ke'ilu mol. One who is mol but doesn't have the second level is as if he's not circumcised at all. Because why? Because at dayin nekudas panimi alev hibachusam. Because still the inner dimension of the heart is still is covered over. V'levush sak, with a thin sackcloth. Rak bebechinas galus b'shivya. So the inner dimension of the heart is still in a state of exile and captivity. So when it comes to the circumcision of the orla, mamish kasibu molsom es oilus levavikim, that you should circumcise, that's the commandment in Devorah. You should circumcise the foreskin of your heart. Atem be'atzmechem, this is what you do on your own. Ach lehoser ha'klipat hadaka, to get rid of that thin foreskin, that membrane. This is very difficult for a person. And on this it says, when Mashiach comes, it says, Umol Hashem elakecha. Hashem will circumcise their heart. And this is now, this is a plural, both levels of your heart. Hashem will help. You do the first, and then you ask. And this is, remember, this started with all about tefillah. Tefillah is the place where you touch the inner dimension of your heart, where you're meant to touch the inner dimension of the heart. And as our Hayomim says, like water, the face you show to the water is the face you get back. If you touch the panemius of your heart in avodah shebalev, which is tefillah, that arouses Hashem to help you circumcise, is the mashal that we're using now, the inner foreskin, the second level of the heart. Before that, you maybe have aroused love of Hashem, but not with the entirety of the heart, not with the internality of the deepest levels. So Hashem will help you. Hashem is the one, Bias Mashiach, Hashem will come, bring Mashiach, and Hashem will help bring forth the panemius of your heart. Like water, the face you show to the water is the face you get back. Leman chayecha, for the sake of your life. Klema leman ki Hashem levadehu kol chayecha. And he says, for the sake of your life, for the sake of the realization and the action and acting in accordance with the fact that Hashem alone is the entirety of your life, mamish. Shelechein, therefore, abazu himeum kedeliba. This level of love, this level of panemius halev, comes from the depth of the heart. And the kuda panemius mamish, from the innermost point, mamish, canal, as I said above. And this is higher than das, right? This is the level tefillah. Tefillah is not about das. Tefillah is about the heart, and which part of the heart, particularly the panemius of the heart. And that's why it says, since the panemius of the heart is not aroused from das, we have an expression, which in ordinary means when you least expect it. Which this could be the moment, because these moments out there are tough. But the way we understand this more panemiistically, is Mashiach will come the hesech das. It's not the faculty of das that's going to bring Mashiach. It's the circumcision of the innermost part of the heart. The klalos Yisrael, when it happens to the entirety, the generality of the Jewish people, and this is a revelation of a general, most inner dimension. And this is the coming out of the Shekhinah HaKlalis, the general Shekhinah. We have the Shekhinah Proteus, the revelation of Mashiach to ourselves, or what the Rebbe called Mashiach Prati, and we have Mashiach Klalit. So when this happens to the Klalis of all these Jewish people, it brings the Shekhinah of the Klalis. And it brings forth the Shekhinah, Megalit, which is the Pintele Yid, which is the Hisgalus of Mashiach, Megalus Hashivia from exile and captivity, La'ad, forever and ever, Olmi Lamim, and forever and ever. The Kain Kol Nitzis Prati, and with this bringing forth of everybody, it brings forth the panemius of the heart. Kol Nitzis Prati Shechina, Shechina Shebenefesh Kol Echad MiYisrael, Yotzois Mehagalus, goes out from the exile, the Hashivya and the captivity. The Fisha, there are moments of this. In other words, what he's speaking about, moments of Geula that are shayach and available to everybody. It's when the Bechinas Nekudas Panimis Haniglas Neumka Deliba when is that time? It's on the wrong line. This is the time of davening, to bring out the Pintele Yid, the innermost point of dimension, which is the Shekhinah in exile, each and every one of our 3 or however many tefillahs you daven each day. This is why it's called the work of the heart, meaning the work of the umka deliba, of the depth of the heart. The beginning nakudas panemius, from the innermost point of the heart, aniglas mehaorla, which then becomes revealed, mehaorla l'mayla l'davke boy b'tshuka ozer b'bechinas l'man chayecha, and it comes out and it gets revealed through the double layer of working on the obfuscations, the coverings of the heart, and it brings one to a sense. What's the feel of this? The feel of this is the shuka ozer, a great, great longing. The bechinas laman chayach, with a complete, no questions asked, awareness that God is your life. But who gam came, the bechinas hesekadas, and that's how we've explained. The Alter Rebbe explains Mashiach will come the hesekadas, when you pierce through the das level and get to the deepest levels of the heart through tefillah sa'odam. Because this level is deeper than das of a person, and his understanding begedulas Hashem, in the greatness of Hashem. It's a gift. It's a gift that comes, remember, with the language. When you do this, perhaps Hashem will give you the gift. You have to do this. And then, kamayim upon him, you have to show your face to the water. You have to dive in like this. Show your face to the water. Show your panemius to Hashem. And then you'll get a matana from above. Bechinas matana nesunas me'ez Hashem, a gift which is given from God. Min hashemayim, from heaven. Me'oretz bechinas ponim el yoinim, which comes just like it came from your most panemius, it will come from his most panemius. Because of your Hashem ponav alecha, Hashem will show his face to you, and we're always in this whole piece, pon of his face. He will show his panemius to you. Umol Hashem elakecha, that's the priya, that Hashem will circumcise the inner dimension of your heart. When you stand in prayer from your inner dimension of heart. That's today's Tanya. Whew.
Amazing. It's like fabulous. Thank you. Wow.
All right.
Uh,
It is amazing.
it does give us a map. It does give us a
For
job.
sure. Torahs, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasodim. On three things the world stands. And this is Avodah Shabbalet. Thank you. Anybody want to know?
Well, thank you. I'll second Rivka's exclamation.
Okay. Very good. So, well, let's go live it.
Thank you.
It's up to us. Woo!
Yeah, but
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.